So hi everyone, thanks for clicking in here to the short interview with Niall from the Nerve Centre. Nerve Centre is funded by the Community Relations Council through our Core Fund scheme. And what we're finding out is that many of the groups that the Community Relations Council support have continued to connect with their local communities through the current crisis, really demonstrating resilience and creativity by quickly moving to new ways of working and using online technology. So Niall from the Nerve Centre, you guys have been working hard during this pandemic to keep communities connected and engaged. Can you just give us a quick insight, Niall, into what you've been doing during the crisis to keep communities connected?
Sure, Peter. Yep. So for those of you who don't know, the Nerve Centre is a kind of multifaceted creative arts organisation. We have lots of different departments and projects ongoing at any one time across music and education. We have a couple of funded projects, one of which I'll speak a little bit about in a bit more detail, called Making the Future, which is a Peace 4 funded project as well. So we have lots of different avenues and approaches to how we engage and how we work with people. With Making the Future, it's a consortium project between ourselves, National Museums NI, the Public Record Office of Northern Ireland, and the Hall Library. And it's all about using the past and heritage and collections to explore where we've come from and who we are now and where we're going to next. And a huge part of that project is community engagement and bringing people together. And of course, that normally involves, bringing people together, taking them to those sites to see the collections, to see materials, and to have a cup of tea and a cup of coffee and to share and open up and just to bring people together in neutral settings and foster relationships and develop new skills and new relationships and all the things that come with community engagement. Sure. That's all completely flipped on its head, as we know. So we kind of sat down early on in this and thought, how can we change that around, and how can we move into the online space, still keep the quality of the programs without access to the places, and in some cases with the materials, and how can we continue to do that work? Luckily, we've got a really strong skilled team across each of those 4 organisations who were able to turn their hand to this kind of work very quickly. And so over the last few weeks, we have started to pilot a number of community engagement programs delivered online, delivered digitally. And thankfully, have been going really, really strongly and really, really well. And we're doing that through a mixture of platforms. This one, so Zoom calls and video conference calls, have been kind of invaluable to bringing people together, to understanding that people can see each other and put a face to names and hear from professionals. And we're still able to bring those professionals, those creatives, those academics into calls like this, so people can still hear and still engage with those people. But then away from that, so that you're not just doing a call and then waiting to the next call or waiting to the next conference meeting, that we're hosting, we kind of like to call little kind of online communities in a program called Slack. And Slack is almost like an online message board. So it's primarily used as a project management tool, but we've kind of tried to kind of change it around for the purposes of what we needed to do. So in between times, we register people for that platform, and in between times, it's a place where they can go talk to one another, share ideas. It's a place where we can set little tasks, share resources, and just foster communication and networking amongst people. And that's worked, as I say, really quite well. So over the last few weeks, we've developed, I think, 5 or 6 different engagement programs across the partner organizations. We've really interesting one called New Parameters, which is based around photography, and that's looking at the photography collections through national museums from the time of the Troubles and what was going on around the 70s and 80s, and how in the 70s and 80s, around that time, people were kind of housed in small areas, a bit like we are now. So trying to compare and contrast some of the similarities from that time. We were able to bring a photographer from that time, a guy called Bill Kirk, to talk about how he photographed that time, to give people the skills and inspiration to go off and do some photography themselves. And then over the course of a few weeks, they're going out and photographing their new surroundings. And they're hearing them from creatives and professionals to help them to upskill around that as well. So the online meeting space through Slack has become just filled with photographs and with memories and with stories and people opening up and sharing, which has been really quite interesting and a really new way of trying to do these kind of programs. Other things we're doing is using like comic book art as a way for people to respond to this time and upskilling them through things like that. A new program started this morning out of the Lindenhall Library, which is around postcards and postcard collections the library has, and this idea of staying in touch with people and trying to kind of document what's going on. And there's another program with Pro at the minute, which is all around ordinary people, extraordinary times, and trying to document what's going on and giving people a voice to be able to have their say in it. So I suppose that I mean, what's worked quite well for us is that we're able to use those platforms, and most people are using these platforms now because they're there and they have to, and that's what's good. I think what we realized is that the quality of the program has to be there, otherwise people will switch off. So what we have been able to do is come up with really kind of interesting, thought-provoking, kind of creative programs that are still very much in the vein of what Making the Future is trying to do. And then using these tools as the medium to deliver that.
Now, that's all real positive progress there. And I suppose what I'm interested in is what kind of learning from that you can share with some of the other groups that are working on good relations projects. Is there one thing that you can share, perhaps as a top tip or a key learning point from your experience delivering work online that might be useful to other groups?
I think that tip around keeping people connected in between times, and so what we've found with that Slack platform is that we invite people into it and we start a discussion, or we set a task or something to do. But what that platform then, what's happening on that platform is that people are naturally connecting with one another, and they're naturally sharing, and they're maybe realizing that someone's from a different part of the country that they grew up in or had a friend from, and are able then to come together in a way that perhaps we mightn't have ever been able to do with face-to-face engagement. So in many ways, that platform and that tool is proven really strong and is allowing people to connect with the program, connect with others in ways that they maybe couldn't have before.
Great. Now, so there's something for people to take a look at then, to take a look at that Slack platform that you've been talking about. So, look, now that's going to do it for now. Thank you very much. Good luck with all your work. Stay safe, and of course, people who are watching this can keep up to date with the work of the Nerve Centre and the projects you've been talking about by visiting your website and just following you on your social media pages too. So thanks, Niall. Good luck.
Cheers, Peter.